Darkness,
light,
darkness.
light. The second gratitude to walk in a manner worthy of Christ is that Christ delivered us from the domain of darkness into light.
Yes, sir. You know what this is? This is that love. Yeah, you know I'm in that love.
Today's Bible verse comes from Colossians chapter 1, verses 13, and it reads like this. He has delivered us from the domain of darkness and transferred us into the kingdom of his beloved. As I shared in the sermon on Sunday, and what we touched on yesterday, there are three main gratitudes that motivate and juice up us as Christians to walk a life that's worthy of Christ. Yesterday we talked about how Jesus qualified us to have his imperishable, unfading inheritance. Today we're going to talk about how God rescued us from the domain or the power of darkness into the kingdom of light. When you think of this verse, you want to focus on the word domain. Another word for domain is power. Now there is a power of darkness that's out there. The person who holds that power is Satan, or the evil one. He's the one that will continue to trap us and keep us under his domain and distract us from walking in the will of God. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 helps us understand a little bit more about this verse. This is what it says. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. See, our battle is against Satan. Satan uses devices to distract you and me from walking in a way that's worthy of God. Some of the devices can be games, they can be cars, they can be money, it could be video games, it could be toys, it could be the hobbies, it could be the internet. There's many different devices that Satan uses to distract us from walking worthy of God. When Jesus died on the cross, he not only conquered death and sin, he conquered Satan and all of his devices that would distract us. Now, instead of looking at these devices, we can look to Jesus Christ to have more of a productive and a God-honoring life. Something that I do to keep myself from being distracted from these devices is projects, God-honoring, kingdom-building projects. If you remember during the sermon, you and I are called to build and construct God's kingdom, to be fruitful in every good work, and to multiply. I'm a project-oriented person, so what I will do is I will find a project that I think will glorify God, and I will try to put all my resources into that project. So when a new device or a new item or some new technology comes up, I filter that to say, will this help my current project or what I'm currently doing to build God's kingdom? If it doesn't help that project, then I simply put it aside and I'm not distracted by it because I have a project and a goal to build God's kingdom. There are projects that you can do on your own. You can be creative, or with friends, you can do different projects, get a team together to do something for the ministries of God. Here's one thing that I want you to do today if you have a social media account. If you have a social media account, I want you to use that device, the screen or the cell phone. I want you to put a post up today that has to do with glorifying God. Maybe it's a Bible verse, maybe it's a special hashtag, maybe it's a hashtag wow God, but some post that specifically glorifies and honors God. Use that device to build God's kingdom. Make it a habit to use all your devices, all the different things, not to be distracted from God's kingdom and God's will, but to be proactive for God's kingdom, to construct and help build God's. This concludes QTR 11. See you tomorrow. Peace.
Yes, sir. You know what this is?